So the cost of bringing products to market has never been lower. And as a result, we as consumers have an unbelievable amount of choice available to us, which means there's never been a greater need for recommendation engines. These are the algorithms that filter out the irrelevant stuff to help us find the things that we are interested in. And this is important because with all that stuff out there, there's almost a certainty that the perfect thing for you exists and it's just waiting to be discovered. There it goes. Now, one of my favorite examples of this, and one of the best recommendation engines, is Netflix. They have tens of thousands of movies and TV shows. But they know when I fire up the Netflix app on my smart TV that I want to watch something, not channel surf or browse around for hours on end. So it's their opportunity to present me with the content that I'm most likely to be interested in. And they do a fantastic job. Right here in this top 10 for Eric row is where I usually find that perfect thing for me. So they've effectively narrowed down tens of thousands down to just 10. Now, I've been on the inside at Netflix. I spent 5.5 years working there. And I know how manic these guys are about helping to narrow down the recommendations to help the customer find that perfect thing. In fact, there's a certain product manager there at Netflix, and he would quip, you know, the perfect recommendation engine would narrow this down even further. The perfect algorithm would present the customer with just a single recommendation, the thing they wanted to watch. In fact, at that point, you might as well just play it. Just launch right into the show. Now, that's a bold aspiration. Imagine a company with so much confidence in their algorithms that they could just choose on behalf of the customer. Well, I've since left Netflix and joined a startup that aspires to do exactly this, but not with movies and TV shows, but in a different domain. Apparel. It's called Stitch Fix. The idea is this. We offer apparel items, but unlike traditional e-commerce, the customer doesn't pick out the clothes. That is, we will choose on behalf of the customer and send the merchandise right to their home. They're under no obligation to keep it. We pay shipping both ways. They only pay for the merchandise if they decide they love it and want to keep it. So this is a bold business model. We have to have great confidence that our customers will love what we send them. If we get this wrong, we're going to pay a lot of cost, and more importantly, we'll alienate ourselves from the customer. So how are we doing this? The answer, of course, starts with great data. Consider the data that describes our merchandise. A garment is typically attributed with just a few pieces of information: brand, size, color, price. But there's so much more that describe it. How is it priced relative to peer items? How does it hang on the shoulders? Does it flatter the arms? Is the material wrinkle? Is it edgy? These are things that customers consider. So we have to capture that data to make it available to our algorithms. So we put all of our garments through an encoding process where we capture over 50 attributes of data. It takes all that qualitative information and discretizes it, disambiguates it, creates ordinal attributes, things that are machine readable. And next, we have to do the same thing with our customers. We need to collect data on all the nuances that describe our customers, because clothes are a very personal thing that need to be tailored to very specific tastes. And customers trust us, so they provide us with this rich information. Through our style profile, customers provide us with things like height, weight, shape, sizes, brands they like, lifestyle stuff such as their profession and whether or not they have kids. They even provide us with their preferences for taking risks. These are all the things that we need to confidently find them relevant merchandise. And that's the next part. So with all this great merchandise data and all that great customer data, we can do some amazing things. We can find the attributes of the merchandise or the attributes of the customer that matter. Not just matter, but precisely quantify how much value they provide. We can also come up with measures of compatibility between the merchandise and the merchandise and the customer. For example, each piece of merchandise can be described by 8 dimensions of style. Likewise, each customer can be described along those same axes, and that allows us to compute a number of distance formulas between them. We can identify clusters of customers that have similar preferences, and that allows us to apply the learnings from one person to the next. We can introduce parameters that balance how much trendiness can influence the recommendation versus personalization alone. And we can take all that stuff and use machine learning to find the optimal weights and manifest the whole thing as an algorithm that will match that merchandise to the customer. So is that it? An algorithm, and now we're ready to be so bold as to pick out merchandise on behalf of a customer? No. That's not enough. There's still more that we can do. We may max out on the amount of variation we can explain using data and algorithms, but there's still more. But we need to turn to a different resource altogether, something wonderfully complementary to data and algorithms. We employ a small team of human stylists. These are folks that love to help people with their wardrobe, and they have excellent judgment. But what they do not do well is sift through mountains of data. And they don't have to. The algorithm does that for them. The algorithm scales these human stylists by narrowing the results down to them, and then they add value in 3 distinct ways. First, as humans, they have access to additional information. Customers can provide request notes, things they want in their shipments. They also provide links to their Facebook and Pinterest accounts. That provides pictures of them and things they like. So these things say volumes of information about customer preferences, but they're unstructured and indigestible by machines. But to the human stylist, that information is easily extracted. Next, the human stylist provides the benefit of curation. That is, they see the merchandise as a cohesive collection. The algorithm at this point considers each piece only in isolation, and while it may pick out 5 wonderfully relevant things, they may be incongruous when viewed as a set. But the human stylist has a great eye for such things and can adjust accordingly. Lastly, the human stylist is far more capable of fostering a relationship with the customer. The algorithms fall down here. Customers want the confidence and trust they get through human interaction. So we see algorithms and human judgment each play a role. They do very different things. They are complementary to one another. In fact, they are reinforcing. As I mentioned, the stylists don't always take the exact recommendations from the algorithm. They sometimes use the other information available to them. And when they do that, they inject new variation, and that's an opportunity to learn. When their overrides are correct, we can incorporate that learning back into the algorithm. Other times, it's the algorithm that exposes biases and prejudices on the part of the humans. In either case, we learn and we get better. They are reinforcing. Indeed, it's the two together that are the system. Leveraging both sides is important. And to allow them to interact, we provide them with human-computer interfaces so that they can meld their knowledge. And this gestalt that is formed, that is powerful. That gives us the confidence to pick out merchandise on behalf of a customer and send it to them sight unseen. In fact, with this, we prefer to send it sight unseen because it isn't until the customer gets their hands on the merchandise that you get this. You see, this is what traditional retail and e-commerce are lacking. Often a merchant has that perfect thing for the customer, but it gets lost in a sea of irrelevant noise. Other times the merchant manages to surface it up to the customer, but it gets dismissed without thoughtful consideration. You see, sometimes things can't be evaluated from a web page or even a casual encounter in a store. Sometimes you need to get it into the hands of the customer where they can try it on and see how it looks on them. And when that happens, it's amazing how much things change. We get feedback like this all the time. I saw that thing in the store and I didn't think anything of it, but when you sent it to me, I tried it on and I loved it. You see, this goes well beyond mere convenience. It's not just sparing you a trip to the mall. It's finding you things that you would not have found on your own. Thank you.